So today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made this camera bag with dividers for my Canon GX7 camera, but you can really use it for any type of camera. So I built it out of cardboard, duct tape, leather, and a softer fabric, and I'm actually super happy with how it turned out. It's super cute, and I actually wasn't expecting this to end up looking as cute as it does, and it's super functional, so let's get started. I have literally no idea what I'm doing, so this is probably gonna turn out really bad, but whatever. Actually, do you want to see what I'm trying to make?
Sure.
So this is my sister Ellen. Let me duck down so they can see. This is one of my sisters, Ellen.
Johnson?
Actually, yeah, thanks. Okay, I think I might have lost
what?
my inspiration photo. Trust in me when I say I love you, baby, and if it's quite alright, I love you, baby. Did I not take a screenshot of it? Aha, I found it. Okay, so this is what I'm going for. I found this Instagram that's YB Putro, and I like they have camera bags, but they're like, oh, they're $160, and I don't got money for that, so this is what they look like.
Oh, that's really cute.
Hopefully it will turn out somewhat like that, but we'll see.
Looks good.
So I got this from Goodwill like a year ago. I was planning on making a project with it, but I never did. Oh, I got it for $9.99 from Goodwill. So I'm gonna tear this thing up. I'm gonna use, oh, can you throw me that
Box?
Yeah. I'm gonna try and use it as like the structure of the, what's it called?
I have no clue what you're trying to say.
I
don't understand.
I'm gonna use it as the structure of the purse / bag. So I'm gonna try and see if this will work. I'm gonna cut this up. Yeah. No idea what I'm doing, so I don't know, I'll add voiceovers with better instructions. So what I was trying to say is that I'm going to use the cardboard as the frame of the purse, and I'm going to cover it with fabric, so the cardboard is literally going to be inside of the bag. And I have this fabric I'm going to use as like the liner inside to protect my camera. So everything I'm going to put in the bag is my charger, memory cards, extra batteries, and headphones, and my camera, obviously. So this is my camera. It's a G7X Canon, so I'm just gonna measure out my thing. So I just laid out all the things that I wanted in my bag on the cardboard and traced it out. And I'm also gonna put cardboard dividers between each of these items, so I made sure to leave room for that. And this is going to be my bottom piece, and then after that I measured out my front and back pieces, and then my side pieces. How cool is this? I love this clipboard. I put all of my projects on this clipboard, and it has a built-in ruler on the side. So I have a bottom piece, my front and back, and 2 side pieces, and so now I'm just starting to cut them out. I started cutting them out with scissors, but then found that using a box cutter is way easier and you get a way straighter line. So I'm temporarily putting on painter's tape just to put the box together so I can see the actual size of my purse and see if I should change it or not. Okay, so this is going to be my purse.
Cute!
Okay, so this would like slide in like this. So I actually think this is too tall. I don't need that much space, because then that will go there, and that will go there. So I think I'm going to cut it down a bit. I think I'm going to make it right at, it might even be too wide, because the fabric isn't that thick. So I think I'm going to cut down a little bit on this too. So I cut those down more and then taped them together just to double check that that was the size I actually wanted. And here are the final dimensions if you want to see them.
Is kombucha live?
What?
It's just live and active.
It means that there's live probiotics inside. It doesn't mean that it's going to make you live and active.
What's false advertising? I don't want to do my homework.
Look at Ellen hard at work. That actually scared me. So now I'm wrapping every cardboard piece fully with duct tape so that if my bag ever got wet, the cardboard inside wouldn't mold. And you don't need black duct tape. You won't see the duct tape at all. This is just the only duct tape I had with me. So now I'm making my pattern and I'm laying out my pieces on my fabric so I know where to cut, and I'm leaving about an inch seam allowance so I can sew them together. And I cut out 2 of those pieces, one to go on the outside of the box and one to go on the inside. And make sure that you cut a slit to the corner of your box just so you can fold it properly and sew it there. So if that didn't make sense, this is what the pattern looks like in 2D. And the dotted rectangle in the middle is the size of the actual box will be. So you'll need to cut a slit here in every corner to match where the actual box is. And now I'm just taping all of my cardboard pieces together so it's actually in a box. So I've got the structure of my box done. So now it's time to actually sew the inside lining, and I'm using my sewing machine, but you don't need a sewing machine to do this. So you fold it at that slit and sew a straight line from the end of the slit to the end. And if that didn't make sense, here's the 2D version. So if I'm sewing this corner, I line up this dotted line with this dotted line, and then I just sew them both together. And once you sew that, this is what it should look like once you're done with that. And you just repeat that process for all of the corners. And now you can slide it into your box to see how it fits. So my battery died, so I made my center dividers off camera and I put duct tape on them. And they are 4 inches by 3 1/12 inches. And you can see my liner is done. And then these just go in like that. So I'm gonna line this on the outside too, but no one will see this part because I'm gonna put leather on top of this. But I'm afraid that if I don't put this extra liner, then it's gonna be super boxy. So I'm gonna put this to make the edges a little bit softer. And I realized since no one's gonna see it, I'm just gonna duct tape it. Instead of sewing it up like this, I'm just gonna duct tape it to the side since you're not gonna see this part anyway. So I just duct taped the fabric to the box, completely covering the outside, and this is what it looked like with the outside liner completely on. And you can see that the corners are way more round than they used to be. So now I'm going to attach the inside liner. And once again, you're not going to see this part at all, so I'm just going to duct tape this down. So I duct taped all of those sides down, and now my frame is completely done, and this is what it looks like. So now moving on to the center dividers. So I just got a long piece of fabric and then just folded it in half and then sewed along the 3 open edges. And I did that with both center dividers, and then this is what they look like when they're done. So I didn't cut off the seam allowance because I originally was going to sew them into the purse using that area, but they actually stay in place without sewing them, and I wanted the ability to move them around and change the sections if I want to. But if you do want to make it more sturdy, you could add Velcro and you'll still have the ability to move them. But they stay in perfectly without me doing anything, so I'm just leaving it like this for now. So now moving on to the leather. So looking at the jacket I have, you can see that there's seams going down the back and front. So the biggest section of fabric without seams was actually the arms. So I started taking the arms off by cutting along the seams, cutting out the inner lining, and then laid down the fabric so I can start planning. How do you like the new jacket?
It's kind of cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't hate it. Can you cut off the other sleeve?
Yeah, I can cut off the other sleeve.
Totally wear this?
Well, I don't need it anymore, so it's all yours.
Oh my god, I have some cool pants that would look... You trying to sew this for me, though?
Not really.
Oh, thanks. I kind of dig it.
It smells, though.
I don't care. I have low standards. Dude, I'm totally gonna wear this as a vest. With this jacket under.
And with those sweatpants. Those sweatpants just like finish the look. Wait, show the butt of the sweatpants.
This is a fucking look. No, I'm telling you. I think it's dope. No, like, I'm not joking. I think it's dope.
Well, enjoy. It's all yours. Where are you gonna wear it to?
To hit the clubs.
So Ellen helped me come up with an idea. So I couldn't decide between using this for the outside and using this for the outside, but I'm gonna use this for the outside and then use this for just the like flap that closes it, if that makes sense. So Ellen, I need to cut off the other sleeve of that. Sorry, bud.
So I'm starting by making the leather that will cover the frame. So I just measured it out and then used the same pattern that I used for the inner lining. And at first I tried using pins to hold it in place and sew it like that. But I actually found that because leather is so hard to put needles through, it actually made it harder to get it straight. So I actually just sewed all of the corners together while holding the fabric straight with my hands. And you can see that I'm using the same technique that I used for the inner liner of folding the corner together and sewing from the end of the slit all the way to the end. And this is what it looked like once I got all the corners sewed together. And you can see that it's actually a pretty good fit because I want it tight enough that it won't fall off, but also not so tight that I can't get it on.
You brought me popcorn? Thanks. Hey, your jacket is ready.
Where's she at? How this isn't a fit? No, I have to wear like I have to be wearing a hoodie underneath. I look like I'm from the Matrix.
Well, enjoy. It's all yours.
Oh. Okay. Thanks, Mom.
Well, thanks for the popcorn.
Of course, bye.
Peace.
So just cutting off the extra seam allowance now, and I'm cutting as close as possible to where I sewed, and it's actually looking pretty good now.
So you can see that this cut wasn't really straight. It comes out a little bit. So like it's really tight right here, but it has some extra space right there. So I'm gonna re-sew and get closer on this corner. This one's pretty straight, but this one you can tell it goes out at the end. And especially because I'm gonna make this the front. So I'm gonna fix that. And then a little bit there. Make little pencil marks so I know where to sew.
So I fixed up those two corners and then cut off the extra fabric, and now I'm done with my frame and can move on to making the top flap and the pocket.
You can tell the leather on this side is straighter than this side. This one kind of is like more crinkly, so I'm gonna make this the back, and I'm also gonna make a pocket for extra SIM cards and extra batteries.
So I measured out a straight strip of fabric that is the same length as the purse, and using my clipboard to make sure that I have straight edges.
I'm just gonna use the natural curve of this as the curve for the flap. That's gonna go over here. But if I didn't have this, I would just cut my straight square and then fold it in half and then cut the curve so I know that both sides are exactly the same.
So just cutting out my piece and then putting it up against my purse to see how it matches.
Now I'm gonna make the pocket that will hold my SD cards.
First, I'm seeing how big I want to make the pocket compared to my bag, and seeing how tall I need to make the pocket for my SD cards to fit. And I'm using the same technique that I did for cutting the top flap. I'm getting a straight rectangle using my clipboard, and I'm going to cut out two rectangles. One will be the pocket, and the other rectangle will be the flap that closes the pocket. And I made the flap a little bit longer. I made it about like a ½ inch longer than the actual pocket. So I first made the pocket rectangle, but I thought it looked a little weird with straight edges, so I rounded the corners like I did with the top flap, and I think it looks a lot better like this.
So I found these in my mom's like sewing materials. They're called Sew on Snap, and you just... So I was gonna use buttons, but then I found these, so I am going to sew these on instead. I'm just gonna hand sew these.
I'm first going to sew on the actual pocket, so I'm centering that, and I'm using light pencil marks to like mark each corner so I know where to sew it. And sewing on the pocket was actually extremely hard. I kept messing up, I didn't get straight lines, and I even accidentally sewed one of the back sides to the pocket, so I had to cut that apart and re-sew it. So if you're recreating this, I would advise to put the pocket on before you sew your box together. Because you can see my line is super janky, but thank God it'll be covered by the pocket flap. Sewing the pocket flap was way easier than the actual pocket because it's just one straight line across the top. But I would still sew this before you sew your purse together because it still would be easier.
Woo! That looks way better. Okay, that looks cute. So I don't have one really long piece of leather, so instead I measured out 2 centimeter long strips and penciled them out, and so this is gonna be my strap for my bag. So just gonna cut these out now.
So cut those strips out and then just sew them all together to make one long strap. While I was at it, I also cut the front strap that will keep the bag closed, and I made that strap 1.5 centimeters wide. And now I actually get to attach my top flap to my purse. So I decided that I wanted to add cushion to the top because the leather is really thin and wouldn't provide much protection. So I used these scraps and added 2 layers and sewed it to my top flap.
And now that I add that extra layer too, it's an added pocket. It's coming together.
Now attaching the top to the purse, and to do that, you just sew a straight line right across, but make sure that the flap is laying straight before you sew it, or else it will look crooked from the front. So got the top on, cut the extra fabric off, and it's actually looking really good. So now moving on to the strap. I could have sewed in the strap when I sewed in the top, but honestly I forgot, so I'm just adding it now and marking where the middle is and then just sewing it in place. I got the strap on, so now I just need to sew on the snaps. I found where I wanted the snaps to go, and then I put a pencil mark there. I found the skinniest needle I could find and used that to attach the snaps because leather makes it hard to push a needle through, and because you make a permanent hole in leather, so you want the hole to be as small as possible. So I just sewed these on the old-fashioned way, which looks like this, and then make sure that both of your snaps line up before you attach both. And I did the same exact thing with the pocket in the back. I found the center, marked it, and then attached both snaps to the pocket and to the pocket flap. Now that all the snaps are attached, I'm going to make sure that my SD cards fit and that they won't fall out accidentally. I'm super excited. It's looking really good, and so now I just need to add on my shoulder strap. So first make sure that you find the center and mark where that is, and then you just sew one side on. After attaching one side, I tried it on while holding the other side up and messing around with the length to see how long I wanted the strap, found where I wanted it, and then marked that spot and sewed it right there. And now I'm completely done with my bag. And here is what my new camera bag looks like. So yeah, here's my bag. I absolutely love it. I'm pretty impressed with myself that I actually made this, and I think it's adorable and it's insanely useful. So this is my go-to backpack. I literally bring it everywhere with me, and I call it my editing bag because I keep everything I need to edit in here. My laptop, my notebook, glasses, headphones, camera, chargers, batteries, literally everything for editing goes in here. So whenever I need to edit, I just grab it and go. And I used to just throw my camera in here, and I was afraid of it getting smushed or water getting on it or something. But now I put my camera in my camera bag, and my camera bag easily slides in here, so this is absolutely perfect for me. It protects my camera and it's all in one place, but if I'm just filming, I can just grab my camera bag out and go film. I know it isn't perfect, but for never making a purse before and for making it out of cardboard, I'm pretty impressed. So thank you guys for watching, and I have other videos on interior design, woodworking, and a whole bunch of other stuff, so subscribe if you want to see more, and see you next time.